Does your dentist say words to you that make you feel weird, scared, and afraid? Well, it's not your dentist's fault because they went to dental school. And in dental school, we are taught to talk really, really weird. You may have a hygienist as well. She's also taught to talk really, really weird. My name is Dr. Paul Goodman, Dr. Nacho, and I am helping dentists and hygienists everywhere not talk weird. So I've come up with 5 words you should not say in a dental office. 5 words that will make your patients feel scared, feel weird, feel afraid, and make you unlikable. So what are these 5 words? So we're going to go through don't say this, say this. The first word is fail or failed. There's no reason we have to look at a patient who's had a bridge in place for 20 years and say, Millie, your bridge has failed. It's unlikable, it's mean, and it doesn't even make sense because cars don't last that long. So instead of failed, how about we say this? Hey, Millie, it's time to replace your bridge. So don't say fail, say replace. What's next? My personal favorite, the one that makes you feel so weird on the inside when you say it. If a tooth does not have a filling, we are taught to call those teeth virgins. Does that make you feel comfortable to hear the word virgin? Instead of saying virgin, how about saying tooth without a filling? This tooth doesn't have a filling, not that it's a virgin. Welcome everyone to Dental Nachos and Dentist Job Connect CE on TV. We have an amazing presenter, my awesome friend tonight. Before we bring him up, a few announcements, a few things that we have going on here. If you are looking to find a job, you cannot fix any teeth without a job. You cannot find centrifugation, even though I think it's made up, without a job. Text job to 215-798-9897 to check out 350 plus associate dentist opportunities across the U.S. Our featured presenter tonight is the co-founder of Rodeo Dental, 50 dental practices, 182 associate dentists. Every time he opens up a new rodeo, he says, this is not my first rodeo. More jokes like that to come throughout this presentation. So if you would like to apply to this amazing organization where they will teach you how to do implants, endo, and live your best dentisting life, text rodeo to 215-798-9897. One of the most important things is bonding associates and owners together, whether it's your first associate dentist or your 100th. And I've come up with a checklist of what questions to ask on an interview to make sure you avoid a WTF associateship. Why these fail associateship, also the other version of WTF. To get this checklist for practice owners and associates for free, text WIN to 215-798-9897. So we are giving you free CE for being here tonight. So all you have to do is this right now. My team will put what you do in the chat. You just text the word register. Text the word register. So impressed how many people are here on a Monday evening. Some of you are watching the recording later, but so many of you are here on a Monday evening. So if you'd like to earn free CE for watching in, the first thing to do is text register to 215-798-9897. So I'm going to ask my amazing friend to come on screen and share his presentation. The way this is going to work is the awesome Dr. Yahya Mansour is going to give a 50-ish minute presentation. There's be time for questions. Put your questions in the Q&A section. And he is going to talk about his culture, how he builds clinical excellence. He's someone that I admire. Before we get started, Yahya, thank you so much for joining us and sharing with you. I was so inspired. I saw you present this in Miami, and I knew we need to have it here on Dentist Job Connect. But anything you want to share about your life, your day, your cell phone chargers with our Dental Nachos and Dentist Job Connect audience?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. We've been dear friends and colleagues for years, and I really appreciate it. I see it as an honor that you'd even have me come and speak, and it's even bigger honor to have the famous Nachos charger saved my life many, many times.
I know. It's your new best friend. We'll talk more about that later. I have one here. And I have to share, Yahya, you're welcome to share your screen whenever you would like there. I have had the opportunity to be introduced many times, but when I was at the Rodeo Associate Appreciation Day, Yahya said, this is my friend, Dr. Paul Goodman. He runs an adult online daycare for dentists. And sometimes that is how I feel at Dental Nachos. We have so many people watching in. You can share. I'm going to drop back here in a second if you are in the chat.
It's really good to be here with everyone. Really appreciate everyone joining and spending the evening with us. And appreciate your team for helping put everything together too, Paul. You guys do a world-class job as always.
Our pleasure. And this is also, if you're here live, we have so many people still coming into the Zoom. Feel free to ask questions about Yahya, how he went from 1 to 50 practices, how he onboards associate dentist. So I'll drop back. You could share your screen. I don't see. Yep, here it's coming up.
Here we
Perfect.
go.
All right,
Can you
awesome.
see it
I'll
okay?
be in the back here doing bicep curls for every associate that you have. So I better get up to 182. Thanks so much
Biceps
for
and
being here.
biceps and EBITDA.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'm really excited to be here with you all. It's been an honor. Uh, we pride ourselves at Rodeo Dental on having a culture of excellence. Now we know we're not perfect, but we always want to strive for perfection and really having that culture of excellence, whether it's clinical excellence or operational excellence or hell, cultural excellence, but always wanting to be better and always wanting to do the right thing and improving every day. Even if you're just getting 1% better every day, you're going in the right direction. And that's how we build the profession. That's how we build the culture within our practices. And I'll tell you guys a little bit about uh, my history and my background, just so you know. So I'm the co-founder and chief dental officer at Rodeo Dental and Orthodontics. We're a multi-specialty, multi-location group practice. We have 48 practices in 3 states, and we're growing. Like Dr. Paul said, we have 185 uh, associate dentists across all the specialties. So we have our typical rodeo practice. We'll have 2 associates, GPs, excuse me. We'll have a pediatric dentist that comes in, oral surgeon, orthodontist, endodontist, and even dental anesthesiologist now. And we have one prosthodontist. So we like to be able to deliver all care under one roof, and it's really convenient for our patients. But the doctors are able to come together and really learn a lot. So I always say, if you want to be the best, like if you want to be the super GP, you can learn from the other specialists and you can learn how to do it like a pro. You learn from the best. And if you don't want to be a super GP, you can just be a really good general dentist. But if you recognize, hey, this is a perio pros case, this is an ortho pros case, and you can really recognize that you don't have to know how to do the procedures, but your mind shifts and you're able to really practice at a higher level, rather than just being, if you're alone, a solo practice, and you're in 4 walls, you don't have somebody to really bounce ideas off as easily, at least, as it is when you have a group practice. So that's really one of the beautiful things that we have, and I think social media has helped that as well, uh, because sometimes when we're the solo doc in there, you're able to ask other people on social media, and the community that the Dental Nachos community that they've built is really amazing for sharing clinical pearls as well. So a little bit about Rodeo Dental. We have over 50,000 five-star Facebook reviews. Yes, we still have some one-star reviews. I'm not saying everyone loves us at all. We're not perfect all the time, but you know what? We'll try to make it right if things aren't right. We've won numerous awards from top dentists in Fort Worth, which was where we first started our first rodeo. No pun intended, Dr. Paul. We're a certified B Corporation, which is a huge honor. We're the first in the history of the entire world that's a dental organization that got B Lab certified. Now, B corporations are companies that go through rigorous testing, annual measuring of what they do for the environment, what they do for their employees, and what they do for the health of the community as well. And we actually got voted by B Lab certifications as being best for the world. I wish it was best in the world, but it's best for the world, and I'll take that. We like to do a lot of good in the communities that we go into. And I say you always go into a community, you got to put into it, not take out of it as well. So really proud of the achievements we've done. But I'm sharing all this not to be braggadocious or anything, but I really wanted to share this to show this is what a strong culture. This is not me that's doing this. This is the team, and the team is really the culture, which is you'll hear me talk about it. The culture is the root that bears the fruit, and it's something really important, and it gets tossed around a lot nowadays. But I really had to learn about it and study it, and it's never something when I was in dental school. If you ever told me something about culture, I would have never thought it was something I would have to study. I'd be studying peer-reviewed articles and going to CE and doing these sorts of things, but really dove deep into culture and systems. And I'll talk about it a little bit more. When you have the culture, which is like the emotional side of it, and you have the systems, which is really the logical side, when you can marry the two and really mesh them, that's when you can get really good. That's where you can get true greatness as well. So just to show you guys a little bit about myself, I was a solo doc, solo practitioner, so to speak, in the traditional sense. So was my grandpa right here, where you could see him. This is him in Cairo University in 1937. And I keep this picture up and I use it just to show how far dentistry has come. I never got to meet the man, but his legacy and the way he carried himself and the way he treated people lived on through me. Just the stories I heard about how he always said you have to dress to be impeccably dressed. You have to treat people with respect and kindness. And some of these things a lot of us know, but I see sometimes a lot of us don't know that, and we have to continue teaching that to future generations to uphold the integrity and the beauty of this beautiful profession. We get the honor of working in this profession. I know we get a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm burnt out, and dentistry's tough, and dentistry sucks." And no, we have a really great profession where we make beautiful connections with our patients. They come to see us more than any other healthcare professional. We're the first that can detect hypertension because we take their blood pressure all the time. We can see all sorts of diseases like God forbid, certain cancers in the mouth, diabetes. We can lower their HbA1c by controlling their periodontal care by a whole point, which is the same as most medications do. We can create an inner spirit. We can help their mental health by giving them the confidence to smile, being able to smile with confidence. So it's a really great profession, and I learned a lot from my grandpa, even though I never got the chance to meet him. But I also learned, look how far dentistry's come. Look at that chair, right? And if we'd complain about our vacuums and our pumps. I don't think they even had them back there. I don't think they even had antibiotics, or maybe had like the first version. This is pre-World War II. So it shows that we always have to be advancing and have that culture of excellence of always being a student and wanting to learn more and more each day. Now, I was also blessed, and some would say and cursed. Both my parents right here. My dad, this is my dad, uh, is a dentist, just sold his practice, and my mom as well. This is her working on me in their practice in Irvine, California. But I got really lucky because this was my summer job, was working in a dental office. And I never wanted to be a dentist. In fact, they encouraged me, they said, don't be a dentist. And my dad, what I learned from him was he was a master of clinical excellence. I think when he sold his practice in January 2020, he had over 7,000 hours of continuing education, more than any other dentist in the country at that time. Now he started, when I tell the story, claims that he had more that he was doing after that as well. So we're gonna have to check his AGD transcripts. But he always told me, hey, you always got to learn. And he told me one day he came home, he finished his residency, he threw his books on the table and he told his dad, my grandpa right there, he said, "Oh my God, I'm done studying." So think about when you finish boards or when you finish dental school and you're just done, right? You're fried. And I guess my grandpa looked up at him and said, "Son, you're never going to be done. You're always going to be learning." And he took that to heart, and he'll still go to CE with me, but he taught me, like, you have to be excellent at whatever you can do. And even if you're not good at the treatment part of it, at least you have to be able to diagnose. If it's something out of your scope, you have to be able to diagnose. And he really ingrained that in me. We took that and ingrained that into Rodeo Dental as well, into our mini residency program, into our strong CE program as well. And I want to share this with you guys so you guys can take this, see what applies to you in your practice, whether you're an owner or an associate, and you can create that culture that fits the culture that you guys want. Now, my mom wasn't as passionate about dentistry as my dad. My mom liked to do, some basic restorative and Invisalign, and she really helped run the place, make sure my dad didn't burn it down. And she's the one that really taught me about culture, and she taught me that it starts with how you treat the patient. She said a patient comes in, they have 1,000 problems. They're behind on their rent, their kid is sick, they got to get home, they got to get dinner. They have all these other problems, and they come to you as a dentist, and they're scared and they're tired and they don't know how much it's going to cost. They don't know if it's going to hurt, and they want to get in and out. And it's an intimate part of the body, right? And you're awake. She said, people come in with 1,000 problems. Don't be 1,001. Take a problem off their plate. And that really stuck with me, is people come in and they have all these issues going on. And we're like, here's a list of issues, here's your treatment plan, here's a list of other things. Like, well, wait a minute, like I'm just here for a checkup, or I'm just here for this, or I'm just here for that. and something gets lost between the dentist talk and layman speak, and we have to be able to connect with them on a human level. So I was really blessed in growing up being able to see this firsthand because if my parents owned a restaurant, I would have been flipping burgers or bussing tables during the summer, but I was developing film. Yes, I'm that old. Back then, I was doing sterilization, breaking down rooms. I was doing paper charts, but I really got to learn the beautiful things of dentistry. I saw my dad a leader in the community. I saw him uh, see people grow up and their kids grow up and have relationships with them, for 20, 30 years as well. And it was a really beautiful thing. And even when he switched practices about 30 miles away, people still followed him. When we went from Riverside, California to Irvine, California. So I ended up switching majors when I was in college. I was a business major, and I was helping my dad open his second, and my mom opened their second practice while I was still in undergrad in college. And I said, hey, you know what? I can be a dentist and be entrepreneurial. Like you can do both. So I switched majors, went all in, and went into Pacific, and that's where I got to meet. That's where I got to meet the great Art Degoni, and he was our dean the first year of our dental school, and this man was larger than life. This guy could have been president of the United States. I mean, he was one of seven Italian immigrant children, uh, U.S. Armed Forces veteran, general dentist, pediatric dentist, orthodontist, president of the ADA, dean for 30 years, something like that, the longest lasting dean, longest tenured dean in dental school. But he taught us with respect. He taught us the humanistic model. At Pacific, they call you doctor from day one, where a lot of other schools or people that go to school say, hey, we're not treated so well as students. And they taught us really well. And here's my partner, Dr. Sam Zarabi, who's our CEO and co-founder as well at Rodeo Dental. And Dr. Art put us in charge of the clinic advisory board, and we're like, us? He's like, yeah, I'm empowering you guys to learn and to do that. And we got that sense of humanism where he's going to hold you to a high standard. We can hold each other to a high standard. You can do this with your teammates, but you can also do it with respect, and you can still also do it with fun because everyone likes to have fun too, right? So we could still demand excellence, and we could still have a lot of fun. So I was really lucky to learn from these great mentors, and they really taught me about how do you create a culture, because when you create a culture, that's how, if you think about countries or sports team, if you're sports fanatics, they have a certain culture of whether it's teamwork or maybe it could be individualism. There's always going to be a culture. You have the power to shape it. So whether you're an owner, you're an associate, uh, you're an office leader or whatever you may be, you have the power. You are a leader, and you could set the tone to create the culture that you want. If you want a culture of white glove care, extreme customer service, patient experience, that Ritz-Carlton type, you could set the code and set the culture and say, hey, these are our core values. This is our mission. This is what we're going to rally around, and really set the tone. And you'll see it's almost like market forces where you'll see certain people self-select out, and you'll start attracting people to your office or organization that are very like-minded. And I always show this picture because I say culture is the root that bears the fruit. And it's really something like it's this tree, that it's this organism that you have to feed and nurture and care and truly care for, because if you're just taking fruit off the tree, guess what? There's not going to be any more fruit left for anybody. But if you're putting into the culture, and I'll show you guys some things that we do to put into our culture, and I want you to take them and make them into your own, for your own practice, your own department, your own organization. But you gotta nurture that tree for it to take care of everyone else as well. And when we talk about meshing the emotion with the logic, this is when you can be the audacious few. Like when you have the will with the skill, the mission with the plan, you have to actually have a plan. You can have big dreams, but you also have to have solid systems to get you there. You got to have a strong culture, and it starts with you, but you also have to have the team that you can rely on, you can rally around, that fits that culture. And you have the vision with the capital. But once you mesh the emotion and the logic, that's where you can really get into an elite status. And I'll talk a little bit later about enemy and competition. And one thing I always say is I don't ever want us to be enemies. We're all dentists. We're all in the dental world. We're here to help each other. I'm saying let's pick an external enemy. like carries or access to care or insurance companies. I know we all talk about it on the forums or whatever it may be. Or, if your practice is around implants, maybe the enemy's dentures, and you rally your team around that enemy and you can create a competition on who can educate the most patients at senior night on the benefits of implants or whatever it may be. But when you're able to coalesce people around an enemy, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, you can get some really, um, you can have a really strong culture. Uh, Now, one of the things I did, excuse me, is I really wanted to study what do these great companies like, what differentiates a Disneyland from a Knott's Berry Farm or an IBM from a bunch of other tech companies or an Apple or a Google. Like there's all these different companies that are starting that we don't know about. And all of a sudden you see one come up. And I really studied a lot of books, and these are just a few of them, and read a lot. And what I realized is the one thing that binds all these companies is they had a strong culture, the successful ones. Companies with strong cultures, offices with strong cultures survive in hard times. And companies with weak cultures or offices with weak cultures do not survive during hard times. I remember my mom, they had one of their colleagues, he had a heart attack, and she said, and he was a really great guy, treated people well, just one of those A plus guys, and his office got through it until he got back on his feet. Like they rallied around his wife and the team got together and they found coverage and they rallied around while he did rehab and got there because they had a strong culture. He was a good leader that took care of the team instead of wanting to take care of himself first, but he wanted to take care of the team first and the culture first. They took care of that. And that's one of the things, even if you go to Disney, whether you like some of the things they do or not, or if you're a Disney fanatic. I know, Dr. Paul, you're a big Disney guy. They have a culture. Like for example, they don't point with one finger; they point with two because they see it as rude to point with one. That's a culture. Whether you agree with it, whether that's important or not, that's their culture. And you guys can do that. And you guys have seen Chick-fil-A, for example, say what? My pleasure. That's part of the culture. The words that we use, the language that we use is really, really important. So I started reading some books, and you guys can write this down in your notes, as well. As I started reading some books, and I stumbled onto this one, Tribal Leadership. Again, I have no affiliation with any of these authors or books. I'm just telling you guys what I learned. But really, how do you leverage natural groups to build a thriving organization? How do you create cultures or your own tribe within the organization? So this was a really great book, and it talks about these 5 stages on the right, where number one is like completely alienated, like that's a toxic culture. None of us want that. To 5 is nirvana, team oriented, life is great, everything's great. And you can see the percentages on the side. Those are, remember when I talked earlier about the audacious few? That's the audacious few, is when you can really get there. And it takes time and there's stages and you have to develop it. When I talk about culture being a living, breathing organism, like that beautiful tree, it doesn't go from 0 to 100. It takes steps, and sometimes you won't see it when you're in the thick of it. You won't see all the steps, but you got to keep going and keep working at it, as well. Now this is another one. These two are great, great books. So the late Tony Hsieh, founder of Zappos, who recently passed away, but he wrote a really great book about culture called Delivering Happiness. I actually went, and I never thought I'd do this. So, I do a lot of CE as well. I do implants. I still practice 2 days a week. I do a lot of clinical dentistry as well, and I enjoy it, and it helps me be a better leader and be in tune with everyone. But I never thought I'd do a culture CE. So I didn't actually get CE credit for it, but he had a class on culture. He had a culture boot camp, and it was in their headquarters in downtown Las Vegas, like old Fremont Street, Las Vegas. I don't know if any of you guys out there are from Vegas or have been there. But a really unique part I hadn't been to is like by the old jail, and they turned it into a museum. But they just had this great culture. There was a famous story of somebody at Zappos community or customer service that stayed on the phone for 45 minutes with somebody trying to return a pair of shoes, helping them figure out the pizza spot that was open. That was part of their culture, is to deliver that extreme of happiness. And they would return things without asking and things like that. But that was part of the culture. That's what they're about. Patrick Leoncioni. He's really, really great. He's got a good podcast out there, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team. I'd encourage you guys to read that as well. Really, really great book, but it'll help you untangle some of the knots if you feel like you're stuck with your team somewhere. Because people always ask, like, what's the secret? Like, how do I open a second practice? How do you get an associate? How do you got to have the culture right? Otherwise, nothing else works. And I know it sounds quirky, but we didn't get all those reward or awards. We didn't get 50,000 reviews because of me or because of, Dr. Z was there. I can't be in every office at the same time. But when I have a culture that wants to serve people, right? And they want to win, they want to get reviews. We create some competition where who's going to get the most reviews and we make something fun about it. They're going to deliver on that because that's part of the culture. They know the code to live by as well. So the five dysfunctions of the team, and I won't get too much into it, so that we can get into some other things as well. But they go over all of the five big dysfunctions of there. But these are the things you have to get over. You have to create some trust. You have to not be afraid of conflict. Conflict is okay to be able to talk to things and speak about things that are wrong with the organization or the office and do that. And we have to have accountability, we have to have good commitment, and we have to pay attention to the results. And that's how you focus on clear outcomes to get over the five dysfunctions of a team. Now, another great one as well, and you guys can QR scan this QR code. This is a really great book by Total Patient Services. Again, just something I've used that I want to share. You guys can ask Dr. Paul. I truly want to share whatever knowledge I have because it'll only make all of you guys better. I believe in having an abundance mindset. I have no interest in any of these books or anything like that. Steve Anderson was a mentor. He's become a friend, but he wrote this book. They'll send it to you for free if you QR code this. But he talks about building a culture of success and what are the 10 natural laws for creating a place where everyone wants to work. So this is a really, really great book because one of the things I always told Dr. Z, I said, man, my worst nightmare is somebody pulling up in their car, the keys, and they're just like, oh my God, I have to go in here. Like, I got to deal with these people. I don't want that. And I'll be honest, it's happened at certain offices, and we've had to get in there and rebuild. I don't want to give the notion that we're perfect at all, um, but we have to protect the culture. And I'll tell you guys a story down the line about what do you do when you have call it a high producer or somebody that gets results in the practice, whether it's an office leader, an associate, or whatever, but they're toxic to the culture. What do you do? And I want you guys to think about that question and ask me later on. But this is a really great book as well. That's been a good resource for me. Now, one of the other things that I really started learning is, we talk about the culture, the emotional piece, right? It's kind of very, uh, call it left brain. Now, you talk about the right brain as well. And I wanted to learn what are the best, because I didn't find this for dentistry, but what are some of the best healthcare organizations in the entire world or in the entire country? What are they doing? What is Mayo Clinic doing? Why is Mayo Clinic stick out? Why does Seattle Children's Hospital stick out? Why does Sloan Kettering? Why do people come from all over the world to come get treated there or the Cleveland Clinic? And what are they really doing? And looking at their systems and say, how can I apply this to whether it's implant dentistry, your own practice, or your own office? But what can you do everything from hiring. When I go back to Zappos and I did the culture boot camp with them, they hired based on on culture. So they had like this question, they had all their core values and they created all these questions based on the core values. And they would ask in the interview, they would ask them, I remember a question being, hey, do you like Superman or Batman better? And why? There was no right answer, but they wanted to see how the person answered. So if our core value, like one of our core values at Rodeo is hashtag do the right thing. We always want to do the right thing by our team members and by our patients, because then that teaches the rest of the team. I can't be everywhere in one place at once, right? That teaches the rest of the team, hey, if something comes up, what do we have to do? We got to do the right thing. So creating those cultural guidelines and then hiring by those cultural guidelines, firing by those cultural guidelines are really, really important. And it's something that's going to be tough and it's going to be disciplined, but it's going to make you a better leader. It's going to make the organization better. It's going to make your practice better as well. But this was another really great book that I read, Management Lessons from the Mayo Clinic as well, because we all don't want to end up like poor John. You know, we see all this stuff about burnout and the crushing student loan debt and what insurances are doing to dentists and all these other headwinds, right? There's always going to be headwinds in every profession. Every profession has it. You talk to a medical doctor, they always tell their kids, don't be a medical doctor. You talk to a lawyer, they say, don't be a lawyer. Because we tend as human beings to turn to the negative. But what about let's focus on the positive? Because I don't want any of you guys stressed out. I want you guys to see that the future is bright in dentistry, and it's up to us to make it happen. You know, we could sit there online. You know, I talked about Dr. Paul, yeah, being in charge of an online daycare for dentists. Well, we could sit there and complain all the time online, or heck, we can do something about that and create a great culture that's not just great for us and our patients that come in, but externally facing to the public. We're like, wow, dentistry is a really great profession. They treat me right. They do what's right by me. But if we can all get on the same boat by doing that, we can create something really great for our generation as well as future generations uh, as well. Now, there was even a Harvard Business Review article, and I was reading about this, and they talked about improved patient outcomes, engaged staff, and had greater satisfaction. They actually measured this for everyone in the office. But having a culture of excellence is vital in healthcare settings. And that's really, really, and we'll get into the Harvard Business Review as well. But this was in the peak of right after COVID, like 2023. And I remember this. And remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but staffing was a nightmare. I mean, it's still not quite there. It kind of depends where you are in the country. It's not that easy, right? Finding good people is hard to find. Finding good associate, finding good RDA, finding good office leader, finding good anything is really challenging. But how do you keep them? It's not always money. Yes, some people may leave you for $1 more an hour or 1% more, but that might not be the right fit for you. And it might be a blessing in disguise. But if you look at this data, this is from the Harvard Business Review again, data on hundreds of thousands of physicians, nurses, and other caregivers in the United States shows that pride in their work and loyalty to their colleagues are the strongest correlates of their readiness to stay within the organization and continue to show up for work. Competitive pay and other support options are essential to recruiting caregivers, but organizational culture, including a commitment to excellence, is what makes them stay. If they know you're a damn good doc, if you're a damn good OL, and you're going to show up every day and you're going to give it your best and you're going to treat them with respect, because excellence isn't just clinical excellence, right? It's excellence in how we treat each other. It's excellence in operations. It's excellence in whatever we do, our accounting, for example. If they know, hey, Doc owes a refund to Mrs. Jones because they didn't do the pulp cap on there, and you stick by your word and you make sure that the office leader, that's a commitment to excellence. There's different forms of excellence, but pay may get them to come, but culture is what gets them to stay. And if you want to retain a loyal staff, is built invest in your culture. And I'll talk about a few ways to invest in their culture. But this was really, really important uh, article that I read as well from Harvard Business Review. And you know, as we always hear about culture, right? Culture, culture, culture. I feel like it's almost the new buzzword. But what is it? And it's the invisible hand that shapes everything we do from us. If we have a culture of making sure that we take our time with every patient, right? That's what guides what we do. If we have a culture of, hey, we need to get people in and out in an efficient manner because that's just the type of patient, that's the type of demographic we serve, then we know efficiency is that invisible hand that does that. But you really have to codify it and edify it as well. The famous Peter Drucker says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And that is not to say that you shouldn't have strategy, but you have to have a strong, strong culture. Now, one of the things I'm going to skip past this one real quick, just for the interest of time. But I was, as I said, it had some really good really good takeaways that I wanted to share with you guys. And there's 5 benefits of having a strong culture. There's more, but these are the big 5 ones. Building culture and marketing. Marketing brings them in, but culture keeps them coming back. Just like I said, you know, compensation may bring your staff in, but culture keeps them on board. If they come in and they like everyone that they work with and they know you guys do, you know, pajama Fridays or pancake coffee talks on Monday morning or something like that, and there's something to look forward to, or you guys have some out of work activities and you guys treat each other well and you guys like to have fun, but know that you guys are going to take really good care of people and there's a mission behind it, that keeps them. But it also for the patients. You can spend all the marketing dollars, SEO, pay per click, all these things. There's no silver bullet. I've tried it all. You have to do a bunch of things, but nothing beats word of mouth. And people, when they get treated really, really well and they know you got them, they're going to tell other people. And they're not just going to tell other people to their face. Guess where they tell them now? They tell them online, right? And that's where people look for the reviews. And that's what's going to keep you busy. When you have a culture of, hey, we smile when we answer the phone. That's one of the things we do. We want you to smile because you can hear it. Like next time, try smiling through the phone. You can tell. You can tell when you try smiling through the phone. Like you can feel the energy. You can sense the tone. Those little things matter, and people feel warmed because that patient journey starts from online to the phone. I know some people don't like using phones. They just want to text and go online, but those things really matter, and it keeps your patients coming back. You want patients that repeat and refer. Attracting, retaining talent. We talked about that. People don't just work for a paycheck. Excuse me. They work for a purpose. And it's on us to define that purpose. What is it? You know, and famous story about NASA when John F. Kennedy was president. He said, "Hey, we're going to put a man on the moon by X." And one of the NASA engineers was there working late at night doing his designs, and he saw the janitor in there. He said, "Hey, I can't remember the guy's name from the story. Hey, Nate, what are you doing here so late? It's 9 p.m." He said, "I'm helping put a man on the moon." He knew he was part of a mission that was greater than him. He wasn't just mopping floors and keeping the place clean, which is something important that we have to take pride in. We have to have a culture of excellence, right? We got to make sure we have a really clean office. But it's not about just cleaning the office or cleaning the reception area. It's about creating that patient experience so that patients notice, hey, they take pride in the little things, so they're going to take pride in the things that matter to me as well. Now, the third thing is creating value beyond the dentist. I know as dentists, we think everything revolves around us, right? We're the center of the universe. Guess what? That's not actually true. And the systems and culture, they make sure that we're consistent and we can deliver excellent care, even in the absence of the leading figure. You guys all want to take vacations, right? If you're an OL, you want to take vacation. If or an office manager, if you're a dentist, you want to be able to take a vacation. Well, what happens? Are you shutting everything down? Your associate, if they know that here's the systems, here's how we do our patient journey, they enter, you know, we greet them a certain way, we seat them within 5 minutes, we offer them X, we speak to them a certain way. The language is really important, and that was one of the things in creating a tribal culture. The book I talked about earlier is language matters in terms of building the culture. The words that we use matter as well. But even if you're a dentist, if you're younger, older, and you want to create value in your practice, because at some point you're going to have to whether be absent for a short period of time or a longer period of time and grow multiple practices, or if you want to sell to another group, to a DSO or whatever it may be, you have to create value. The value can't just be in Dr. Goodman. The value can't just be in Dr. Mansour. They call that blue sky because then there's a single point of failure. But creating the system and the culture that's replicable is really, really important. And then implementing those systems for success, setting the tone for the week with regular team meetings and feedback. I think I saw a question that came across about morning opportunity meetings or morning huddles. We call them morning opportunity meetings there. And that's really important because you have to have a cadence of communication and rally the troops around, right, the mission and around the core values. You can go over a core value every day. And then lastly, growth in the face of adversity. I told you guys the story about my parents' friend that unfortunately had a heart attack. Good thing he bounced back. But culture driven practices have more predictable and sustainable growth. When the economy's bad, you know, when it's a slow month, what do they call it? September is coming up. Guess what? A culture-driven practice is going to say, hey, what are some creative ways that we can keep doc busy, that we can keep the practice busy? They want to get their hours, they want to be busy, they want to treat patients as well. And those things are really important because you don't want to have a leaky bucket, right? If you're just getting all these new patients and you're funneling money into marketing, but your patient base, your recall, you call it your hygiene, you're losing them, or your new patients are coming in, they don't have a great experience and they leave, they exit the system, you just have a leaky bucket. And growth is fueled by attraction and retention. And then remember also, culture is what keeps people retaining your staff as well as your patients as well. So I want you guys to all ask yourselves, is your practice growing or shrinking? And I challenge you guys to go back tomorrow and this week into the office and see how many of my patients aren't coming back. We always track as dentists, how many new patients am I getting? How many total patients am I getting? But who's tracking retention? That part is so important. And what are you doing to capture that retention, people that don't come back? We even found I did some eye-opening research. We found some, I was like, oh, we're some patients aren't coming back. We had about, I think, 8% of patients not coming back, and did a survey and engaged with them. Some of them just didn't have time. But that's important, is to educate them. I could just throw up my hand and say, oh my God, they don't have time. Or I could educate them on the importance of oral health and the oral systemic link. Not all of them are going to come back. But at least I'm trying. At least we're doing it as a team. At least some of them will come back. And if I can help one person's health, that's still a win as well. So you don't want to have that leaky bucket, because all the marketing dollars you're pouring in, they're just going to go outside the other side of the bucket as well. So, like I said earlier, while marketing brings them in, culture keeps them coming back. And creating a lasting practice means prioritizing culture before advertising. And I'll tell you something we really do at Rodeo that's gonna, some of you guys might scratch your head at this. If an office isn't performing the Rodeo way, if they're not hitting their metrics, and when I talk about metrics, I'm talking about reviews, wait times. I'm not talking about anything else, nothing clinical or anything financial. I'm just saying experience and reviews. If you're not hitting those, guess how much money we put into your marketing budget? Zero. Because we're just fueling more people to come in and not have a great experience. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm telling you, save your money, get your systems tight, get your culture right, and then advertise and then market. Trust me on this one. It's a little bit novel, it's a little bit unconventional, but it really, really works. And guess what? You're gonna attract talent. It's tough to find good, talented people that are out there as well. But people want to work for a purpose, right? They want to work that resonates, and they want to do pictures like this. I didn't ask them to do this picture. Look at them. They're having fun. They look happy. They're being themselves. They're being their authentic selves. And that's what a culture is when it's not reliant on me. It's not reliant on uh Dr. Smith or Dr. Serena, but it's the culture. They know, like, hey, we want to take fun pictures. We want to post about it. We want to do funny and quirky things. Or, hey, we want to be really professional. Or, hey, we want to do silly, funny, engaging videos on TikTok or Instagram Reels or whatever it may be. That's your culture. You can design it how you want. The thing is that everyone on your team has to be on the same page and has to know that that's what your culture is as well. So you have to do it, and you have to get there beyond the dentist. Us dentists, we have to get over ourselves. It's not about us. Yes, we're the leader, we're the doctor that's there, but we have to get over that and make sure that it's about the team first, not about you. So a few things. I'm going to give you guys a few things here that you can take and implement tomorrow morning. I put Monday morning on this because usually I'm doing this on a Friday or Saturday, or heck, even a Sunday. But Monday morning, if you're not having a morning opportunity meeting, have one tomorrow morning. 15 minutes on time. Everyone's there. Don't go over the 15 minutes. Don't try to boil the earth. Start with something positive. You know what we ask? What's the best thing that happened to you yesterday? Hey, my daughter got a puppy. Hey, I got a new car. Hey, that crown seat with Mrs. Jones, or her veneers went in really well, or that sedation patient did great. Could be anything, the simplest thing, but to start off in a positive mood like that sets the tone for the entire day. So you get everyone on the same page, and you can also plan for the day. Hey, Mrs. Jones comes in, make sure she goes to the treatment coordinator first, have this is the setup. Hey, she's got to be out by 3, so we got to be on it. And you could plan for the day, right? By doing the morning opportunity, but you got to put in the time for the morning opportunity meeting. So I'll tell you another secret about culture. You can't buy it. You know what it costs? Time and effort. You got to put in the time. So what we have, we talk about the clinical excellence I got from my dad, and I really ingrained into rodeo every month. Every month, I want it rodeo. We want all your CE to get covered at rodeo, or state board CE. Every month, we have all of our doctors come on board, and it's usually Wednesday night, like at 8 p.m. We're tired, and a lot of us would be rather resting, but we do not miss one where we go every Wednesday night. We put in the time, we put in the effort to make sure that it's set up. So putting in the time, whether you're going to do a quarterly dinner with your team or bowling or movie or whatever it may be, you gotta put in the time and the effort. Yeah, it costs a little bit of money. You can even have one of your resource partners sponsor it. Believe me, they're happy to do that as well if money's an issue. You can do a movie at the office. You can do anything. You can do pancakes. I walked into an office. They were cooking pancakes and eggs, and they had turkey bacon going and all sorts of stuff. I was like, "What are you guys doing?" They're like, "Oh, we do Thursday breakfast," and it was a lot of fun. So doing whatever you find that the group wants is really really important. But also getting their feedback from everyone. Like, hey, once a week, let's do a coffee talk, once a month, whatever it may be. How do I show what can I do better for you? Yes, as the doc, what can we do better for them? And what can you do better for me? And some of these forms, I'm going to give you guys my contact info at the end. I'm happy to share it with you guys. I'll share it with you guys. Create a survey monkey for free. Send it out to the team, do it anonymously. Also getting patient feedback sessions as well and making sure how the practice is doing. How was today's visit? If you ask that at the end of every visit, again, that's a cultural system, right? That then if you have an issue, you're able to capture it right then and there. Oh, you know what? The wait time was long, or hey, that really hurt, or somebody, looked at me cross or whatever it may be, you're able to address it right then and there and get the feedback. But asking for feedback is a gift, is really, really important as well. So doing things like team member engagement surveys, professional development, do CE courses for your team members. It doesn't always have to be clinical as well. It could be something cultural. You may have your team members on here as well. There's lots of different avenues you can take, but it's really important that you want to create a team that genuinely loves to come to work, that loves to support each other, that loves to grow together. And the goal of the goal, I always say, what's the goal of the goal, right? The goal is to create patients that repeat and refer. So the goal is to have a strong culture. What's the goal of that goal? To create patients that repeat and refer, but also to create staff and team members that are loyal, that want to stay and want to do good and take care of the patients. Sometimes the first thing the patients see when they walk into a practice isn't just how you treat them, it's how the team treats each other. Hey, this is a fun group. They treat each other really well and they start feeling comfortable too. So that's really the goal. The goal is to create patients that repeat and refer as well on there. So another thing you can do, if you guys can even drop in the chat, who has a mission statement and who doesn't? And don't be embarrassed. If you don't, create one and create a fun one. Was Microsoft, what was theirs, to put a desktop on every desk. NASA, to put a man on the moon. Google is to put the world's information at your fingertips. Those are really cool mission statements. Sometimes you'll get some really boring ones. We strive to be the best, chat GPT type of mission statements. No, come up with something cool like, hey, we want to make Tucson, Arizona smile bright. That could be your mission statement. Hey, we want to create dentistry for the future. Create something really, really cool that fits within your practice's culture and what you really want. But that's something really powerful that you can do tomorrow as well. And heck, you can even do it with your family and your personal life, because that's where you could also have a culture that's important. So I won't go through all of Rodeo's core values, but we start from everything from patient safety is paramount, to do the right thing, to Smile DNA, to share power is achieved through sharing collaboration. But write down your core values. They can be three, they can be 10. You don't want to be over them. You can go through, guess what? You can go through one of them in every morning opportunity meeting and challenge a team. Hey, do something today that sets the patient experience apart. And the next day, go over it. Hey, tomorrow, show me, let's share a story where power was achieved through sharing and collaboration, right? And then you can create some questions as you hire new team members and have the rest of the team be part of the hiring process. How do they fit within this cultural this cult the if they fit within if they're a good culture fit as well. That's really important, is if you empower your team to be part of that culture, and to be part of the process, they're really going to let in other team members that are really like-minded as well. And that doesn't mean you have to listen to everyone, because there's even been times where some people have told me, "Oh no, this person's not for us," but I've seen things a little bit different way. You're gonna have to make an executive decision if you're the one in charge on that, but at least you get people's feedback. And sometimes you're gonna end up on egg on your face with egg on your face, because sometimes they're gonna be right. I always say hiring is an educated guess. It's not exactly a science as well. But it's really important to be able to do that. And you've seen successful workplace cultures. I've talked about the Mayo Clinic, right? And they really prioritize teamwork, collaboration, and patient-centered care. You look at Kaiser Permanente, and they really are committed to having diversity, right? An inclusive workplace culture. That's their culture. And you look at Seattle's Children's Hospital, they really serve children. So what's important to them? Emotional intelligence, communication, collaboration, different things. Great medical systems, right? Great medical systems, but they have different cultures, but it's their culture. So you have to find the culture that fits best for you as well. Now, Rody, our mission is to give every family the key to access high-end dental care. And we know that we want to be able to find a way for the patient to say yes, because we know some people are better off than others. Some people don't have the dental IQ or education. We don't care about that. We want to be there to serve and serve our mission. So what's your mission statement? What are your core values? And write them down, and then have a system on what your patient journey is. We have everything here, and I won't get into detail, but greeting with intent, all the way to the epic send off. We call how did today's visit grow? We ask what would make today's visit go great. How did today's visit go? Hey, I'd love for you to write a 5-star review for me and the team. It would be the biggest compliment, Mrs. Jones. And you'll find out if you guys failed, if we failed, or if we missed something in terms of the patient journey of the system. You'll find out just by asking for that feedback. But having the culture and then creating the system, mapping out your system, is really, really important as well. Now, I'll share with you guys just one thing. Again, something very inexpensive that we did. I created these I appreciate blank because blank sheets, and I passed them out to the office. And look what happened. As I went from office to office, they just wrote. I mean, it was, some things were like, "Hey, I appreciate you holding the umbrella for Mrs. Williams because it was raining outside. I appreciate that bite wing you took. Here's another office." I didn't ask them to do this. I just put the pads in each office, and they started making these beautiful walls of appreciation. And guess what people do when they feel appreciated? They go above and beyond, and they want to help. Hey, I need help breaking down room 2. Hey, I need help. Can you check in? Um, can you check Sarah and Johnny in, for example? Yeah, happy to do it. Again, when we talk about language and how important language is, it's really important because that's what creates your tribe, right? And you think I'm not a Alabama fan or anything like that, but they got a winning culture. And when you go to college campuses on game day, guess what? The jocks and the nerds, everyone's got the jersey on for the game, because what? They're part of the tribe and they want to win. And that's the type of tribe you have to build in there. And you look at greats like Tom Brady, whether you love him or hate him, he had a culture of excellence. He said, "Hey, we're going to win. We're going to create a system that's based on teamwork, and we're going to rally around it, and we're going to find a way to win no matter where he went." And he did that. And you guys all have the ability and the power to do that. And again, when I talked earlier about competition and enemy, you create your enemy. What's your enemy? If you're a cosmetic dentist, it could be ugly smiles. If you're a pediatric dentist, it could be getting behavior management for kids, or caries. Caries is the number one reason kids miss school days. Rally your team around the enemy. And this isn't me saying you be the enemy or the dentist be the enemy. This is me saying rally your team around a common enemy, right? Maybe expensive all on X's. You want to create something that's more affordable, that's still clinically excellent. Rally your team around that. So again, I'll share some of this with you guys, but we have a culture-based candidate evaluation form. We do a shared risk interview. We look at here as you see some of our core values. Smile DNA, how did they rank on here? Yeah, we do the clinical skill set as well, but we also look at the cultural fit first, because we want to make sure that they want to fit within our culture as well. We do Friday morning coffee talks at our offices, and if you ask here, what's going well, where can we improve, how can I help you, how can you help me as well? Real simple. 5 questions. Get coffee and donuts on a Friday, and the team will really love coming in there as well. And having a culture of clinical excellence, I think, is important because if you don't have clinical excellence, you can't have anything. If your patients are walking out and they're getting abscesses and they're always having tooth sensitivity or pain, you're not going to get word of mouth, right? You're not going to grow. If we didn't have clinical excellence at Rodeo, we wouldn't grow. Yes, we have mistakes. Everyone has mistakes in dentistry and medicine, but you know what? We make them small and we make them right when we have them. But learn together with your team. This is us learning in Houston. Here's us learning about that last one was MTA pulpotomies. This one's about anterior aesthetics with composite. We have hands-on mentorship with oral surgery. We learned from Dr. Paul Homily on how to do present cases properly for case acceptance as well. We do an annual summit, which we're having one. Dr. Paul, can't wait to see you there in a few weeks at South Padre Island in Margaritaville on September 13th. But we all come together with our resource partners and we really learn, but also investing in our leadership development as well is really important because we invest so much on how do you do a procedure, but do we invest really into how do you lead a team? How do you communicate? How do you have effective communication, effective leadership? Those things are really, really important, but also having a lot of fun. Let's get out of the office and go have dinner every now and again. So those things are really important to be able to create a really strong culture in your practices and know the expectations. And I'll go take you guys a little bit through the doctor journey real quick to show you guys the clinical dentistry part. But we really thrive ourselves on having clinical autonomy for our docs, learning from each other, and having high-end dentistry. We believe in having the electric handpieces, isodries, nitrous, intraoral scanners, CBCTs as well, and investing that into the practices, as you can see here. Those things are important to us. So what's important to your practice, and you do that. And if you look at the doctor's career path here, they come in, they do clinical onboarding. We don't just throw them in there and say, hey, you're on your own. But no, you're paired with a mentor. You always have a mentor that you talk to. So Dr. Ayub may be your mentor, and he'll show you how to do class two a really efficient way. Or, hey, how do you talk? There's always something to learn for somebody, whether you've been practicing 2 weeks or 20 years. I'm still learning from people that come out of dental school because I had that mindset that I got from my dad of, hey, always be a student, always learn. We have our clinical continuing education once a month. That's on Zoom from different specialties. We have our mini residencies, which are hands-on, right? And then we have our regional CE as well, where we can have like GC America come in and teach about aesthetic composites. But some people want more. Some people want to be an associate, and that's great. Some people want to go own. God bless. Just find what makes you happy. But some people want more and they want leadership. And you can become an anchor doc where you lead an office. You can become a regional lead doc where you lead multiple offices. Uh, this happened by accident. A lot of our doctors go on to residency because they work with the orthodontist, they work with the pediatric dentist, they work with the endodontist, and they say, hey, I want to be that specialist because they didn't get to do a lot of that in undergrad dentistry. So they go on to residency, and a lot of them come back and work with us, and some of them don't. And they go on and go to their hometown or go wherever they did residency and they stay, and that's okay. We want them to be super successful, and there is an ownership path as well. But what is yours? So these are some Monday morning commitments. I want you guys to all write these down. What's your mission statement? Write it down. And if you have it written down, is it somewhere you can see where everyone in the office can see and commit to that? Core values. If you don't have your core values, write them down. Think of it. Take the time. Again, culture takes time and effort. Writing these things down won't cost you a thing other than time and effort. Write down your core values. If you have them written down, are they in a place of prominence where your team member can see them? And if you have that, go over them tomorrow in your morning opportunity meeting. Commit to daily huddles. 15 minutes before your day starts. Keep them on time. One person leads it. I'll even share with you guys the form. I'll give you guys my contact info at the end. You commit to that and figure out some culture building activities. The holidays are coming up. We probably all do things for holidays. Think even beyond that. Come up with a culture calendar. I don't know if I used to watch The Office and remember they had the party planning committee, and I used to laugh at that, but they actually had something there. They put the time into doing that. As quirky as they were, as silly as they were, they had a culture. And I don't know if you guys remember, Michael Scott was like the number one branch leader, and he had no clue how. kind of had to do with culture. I get it's a TV show as well, but I think it's a good example on how to do it. So I want you guys to commit to these four things in doing them. And if you guys, here's my, you guys can QR code. This is my Popple, my contact info. I'm happy to help you guys wherever you want. I have no pride in ownership or authorship of any of these things. I am a product of learning from many people, just like Dr. Paul, as many as well as you guys, and the books I've read, and the podcasts, and all the CE courses and leadership development things I've went over as well. I am an open book. I'm here to help you and help the profession. So here's my contact information. You want to follow me on Instagram, email me. Heck, you even want to text me, you can text me there as well. But really appreciate you guys' time and you guys spending the last hour with me. Hopefully, you took away something strong that can make you better leader, build your culture and your practice, and take your practice to the next level.
Amazing, Yahya. So generous, really fantastic. I have some of my uh, amazing friends who are multi-practice owners here in the chat who said they took a lot away from this. They want to stop and have coffee with their offices. The person who helped me plan my Disney World trip, Megan, she's going to have a Mickey pancake breakfast now. So great. Leave your QR code up one more time, just for a
There
minute,
you go.
while we're talking, just so people can get that. We're going to do a few questions and we're going to go to some bonus stuff.
Absolutely.
A question from the chat here was, any advice how to implement leadership as an associate? My owner doc doesn't seem to buy into the morning meetings, cohesive culture, negative office manager. I try to lead by example, but it's hard to bring new ideas to the table when even small ones get shut down. So that's something I hear a lot. I mean, I want to tell everyone I thank you so much for your support as a Dentist Job Connect client, and we transparently help you hire awesome associates, and you're out doing that. So I do hear that a lot, that the
Yeah.
associates can be stuck in this no person's land of how to lead. So any thoughts? I know we won't solve it in 5 minutes, but any thoughts for this person on Zoom who asked that?
First of all, whoever asked that question, I commend you deeply for taking the initiative and wanting to do that. I'm sorry you're in that unfortunate situation. Um, Go for it anyway. Have your own huddle. I mean, if are they going to shut you down if you have your own huddle? If you bring them into the office a few minutes before, if you buy them donuts and say, "Hey, we're going to do a coffee talk." I mean, is the owner going to shut you guys down? But keep doing that. You're building your own culture, even if you're an associate. And I don't like the word "just." People say, "I'm just this. I'm just an associate. I'm just a GP. I'm just a pediatric dentist." No, you are a leader. You are a leader. And you having that mindset shows that you have great leadership. And whether you're going to own your own practice or not, it's important that you learn that. And I wish I had more associates and even partner docs that are like you. I commend you for that. But I would strongly encourage you to take whatever, I don't know the limit with, because I don't know the dynamic with the owner doc, whatever limit you can safely do, but engage with your team. When your team is strong with you, even when I was an associate at a different practice other than my parents, when I was an associate, I wanted my team with me because they were there with me. They were helping me get case acceptance. They were helping running, getting everything ready. Like that's still your team. You're not paying their paycheck, but you still can build that culture within that team and lead that team, and they'll respect you for it.
I agree with all that. And the and part I'll add is that it's so hard, changing jobs in dentistry is so difficult, right? People
Yeah.
work for dental nachos, Yaya, and just want to let you know, no one went to school. They didn't go to Nacho University. And if you want to change jobs, it's easy, but in dentistry, it's hard. But my and is, if you constantly bring ideas that are good to the table that get shut down, it just might not be a long-term fit for you. Unfortunately, you can
Yeah.
ingrain bad and negative habits. And I know it's so tough with debt and things like that, but it's just that office is showing you that it just might not be the fit for you long term. And I know that can be demoralizing, but I love when my associates bring good ideas and we work on them
Yes.
together. And I think that's really key. My friend, Dr. Sarah, who's in your area, yeah, she has three children, just opened her fourth practice, Sarah Mahmood. She said she took so many things away. She's going to order all those books here. So I want to, we're going to
Awesome.
bring up our next guest here in a second. Great content. Thanks so much for sharing. So I'm just going to do here. So this is going to conclude our CE here in just a minute. One thing as I'm doing this, yeah, it seems like
Yeah.
reading's important to you. And you have 50 practices and 182 associates. How do you fit in reading? Do you listen to books on your drives? Do you actually read physical books? As a leader, I hear so much, leaders are readers. I just heard
Yeah.
that the other day, Addison Colleen. So how do you fit reading into your life being so busy?
Great question. So I do both. I listen today. I drove this morning. I woke up and I drove to. I'm here in Temple, Texas, about 2 hours south of Dallas, and listened the whole time in the morning. But I made a commitment to it that I'm going to read every day something, even if I can only read 2 pages, if I can read 20 pages, whatever I can do, or if I can listen to a podcast. But you just have to commit to it and carve out the time and budget the time. Just like you have to put budgets for your finances, you have to put budgets for your time as well. And the important things, the big buckets like reading, learning, family, right? You got to carve out the time for those things are, excuse me, are really, really important. But you learn so much. It's like reading is a superpower, but you can't just read. You got to put it into action after what you learn.
I'm the same way. A combination, put stuff in
Yeah.
your ear when you're walking on the treadmill, driving in your car, but also reading. We've been really digging into unreasonable hospitality. So this concludes our CE. We have a bonus segment with Dr. Yahya's recruiting director coming up. But if you would like to get free CE, no refunds on your free CE, text code to 215-798-9897. Text code to 215-798-9897. So this concludes our CE. And I would like Matt, if he is here, he's welcome to start his video. So my team will put in the chat how you can apply to Rodeo Dental. I was at your associate day. I was blown away by the camaraderie, the culture that you have created. We'll talk about that. But let's just start our segment on working with the Rodeo Dental team, what you look for. So Yahya just shared his journey, but Matt, just take a minute and tell us what you do to make dreams come true for the Rodeo Dental world.
Absolutely. Well, one, I appreciate you guys allowing me to hop on as well. I love hearing, I hear Dr. Mansour talk all the time just about this amazing culture that we've built out here at Rodeo. And that's honestly was built before I even got here. My job really is to vet and attempt to find those talented dentists now and specialists who fit that culture and fit that model. And I've just been so fortunate to work with such an incredible team that's continuing to grow. And yeah, I noticed a couple of chats on here of whether or not we're looking. I've partnered with Dr. Paul for a while now myself for about 3 years. So it's nice to be back in the fold.
Awesome, Matt. I mean, we're gonna, spend, we won't keep you guys too long, but I love this topic. Let's just kind of start with something fundamental, even though it's so cliche and people ask it all the time. But when you're interviewing and hiring associate dentists, you get intake from different sites, Job Connect, Indeed, personal referrals. What's the start to the process look like? I think there's dental students here who have one of the things I say, Yahya, you're not too much younger than me, I don't think, is like our days of finding jobs. It's like the Oregon Trail. So, okay, so it's
Yeah.
like dentistry has such bad processes for even knowing how to get a job. So, Matt and Yahya,
Yeah.
what's kind of like the first steps? Do people send in email and resumes? Do you do a video interview? Tell us what you're looking for in the first steps.
Sure. So, I mean, first and foremost, the best thing you can do is really just get in touch with somebody from the team. So, I myself have a team of 3 recruiters who work across all regions, but we love to receive resumes beforehand. Really, the biggest thing here is we want to talk, right? We want to get to know what's important to you, what makes you tick, because that's how we're going to figure out who is actually going to fit here within our culture, right? And so, one of the big things that we look for is somebody coming to us, whether it's from Dentist Job Connect or maybe it's a referral, but we love those who kind of reach out and then we can cultivate those relationships from there.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah. I know were an associate at one point. You're hiring associates now. It's a scary thing to go from dental school or residency into the real world. To me, whether it's Job Connect, Nachos, or my two dental practices, it's important that the applicant also wants to be there. And
Yes.
I can bring anyone into dental nachos because we just so no customers show up at dental nachos. It's just us, right? It's kind of nice. But in a dental office, it's like running a circus each day. How do they get just an idea of what happens in the office they might want to work in? Do they come and observe for a day? Do they talk to another associate? I always thought that was kind of a crazy part. Like I know I'm long-winded, but I'll say many dentists, Yaya, who don't have parents like dentists like us, the first time they're not a patient in a dental office is their first day as an associate, which is just crazy, right?
Yeah, it's a really crazy thing. And We like to start the process early. So we even invite, if you're a D4, we'll invite you to a maybe residency, for example, and you can come see the practice and see what's happening. But we want you to see, yeah, we'd like you to talk to other associates, and we have you talk to, a lead doc or other docs as well. But we want you to come in and see what the practice is like, because we want to be an open book and be transparent so you can see what the morning opportunity is like. All this we talk about culture, come and see it, because as much as I talk about it, when you're in there, you can feel it, you can sense it. Like
Yeah.
there's a texture to culture and an energy to it, and that part's important. And Matt does a phenomenal job. I mean, even look at Matt, and he's built a culture within his team that embodies these core values. So no matter what your role is, that part's really important. But as far as doctors coming in, yeah, we're always more than welcome to have doctors come in and interview on site. Yeah, we'll do a Zoom, but we want you to see the practices where you're going to be at and see the team members that you're going to work with.
I think that's so key. I think that, you know, we and dental school probs are friends and people talking. Matt, you're a normal person. You're not totally normal because you work with dentists, so that's not. But Yahya and I went to school to become professionally odd, right?
Yeah.
And people say, become a dentist if you love it. Become a dentist if you love it. And I go, how can you taste test dentistry, right? You just can't. And it doesn't mean that, you know, you should or shouldn't become a dentist, but I just find of all fields, it's just so hard to taste test it. If you, especially if you're a parent, I mean, I spent a lot of time in my dad's dental practice, Yaya, like you, but you still
Yeah.
don't know what it feels like until you're in that environment. And I think associate dentists listening, this is your life too. Make sure you're putting yourself in places where you're going to thrive. And some places are fits and some are not. Now, Yaya, there's some owners on here, so we'll kind of go back and forth a little bit, Matt.
Yeah.
You were owned one practice and now you're up to 50 practices. What early on, what were some of the pain points or pivotal decisions in the growth? 5 to 10, 10 to 15. My friends are on here with 4 or 5. I don't know if they can picture adding a zero on the end of that, or maybe they want to, but just give us some insight on that.
I think the biggest thing, and this kind of happened by happenstance, and when I came out and met Dr. Z, he was here in Texas, and I remember him picking me up, and I said, we can build something great here. What the number was, I didn't know. But one of the biggest key, and I look back and there was inflection points, right? We went from 1 to 2 pretty quick, but there was 3 of us at that point. So that was kind of easy. But then when we got to 6, that was a big, and we realized, hey, we have to build some infrastructure. It's not just about aggregating, right? Some people think, oh, I'm just going to buy a practice, I'm going to aggregate them. No, then you got to start having a culture in a continuity of systems, but getting over that mental leap of realizing, hey, I have to build infrastructure before I can grow, because it feels
Yeah.
very constraining and tough. And then the second piece, we went from 6 to 10, that we hit another inflection point. So there's certain ones, and it might be different for each person's practice type. I don't think you can really quantify it, but you're going to feel the pain points and realize you have to take a step back and say, what is this pain telling me? What does the organization need? What does the company need? What do I need? And one of the biggest things was I realized I got to hire people that are good at what I suck at. And some of that is, I'm great at like vision and I need somebody like that can organize it and create the mechanics
Yeah.
and hire people. And then you have to realize you got to let go some of the power. That was one of the things I was saying when dentists were so full of ourselves, right? We think it's all about us. Like the show,
Yeah.
like we're the stars of the show. And
Yeah.
like, no, like I hate to break it to you, you're not. Like let the other people do their job, give up some control, but we like to keep control.
I mean,
But giving
we're
that
so
up.
dramatic. I mean, if another dentist tells me my practice is my baby, I don't know if I can hire an associate to take care of my baby. I'm like, you leave your real baby with a random babysitter so you can go on vacation, right? So
Yeah.
if you don't get an associate, which I say babysitters take care of the most important people in our lives, and I know Morgan from my team, who is both our amazing babysitter and Job Connect team member. And us dentists, we can be very dramatic, but you cannot get freedom unless you have other dentists helping you do it. It's just so hard to be the only dentist in an office who can do that. Now, I want to go to leadership in a second, but Matt, I want to ask you a question. Just give us some insight. There's no wrong or right answer to any of this, but coming out of dental school right into an associate job, or coming with the experience of a general practice residency or an AEGD,
Mhm.
there's dental students watching, there's new dentists. Tell us a little bit about some of the experience you've had with people who've had experience doing some surgery before they come to you, people who haven't. I know our group would like to hear that.
Yeah, I think one of the most intriguing parts to me, we do a lot of events. In fact, Dr. Zarabi, our CEO and one of our other co-founders, he actually is doing a big lunch and learn tomorrow at Texas A&M. And so we work a lot with dental students and people coming straight out or out of a residency program. One of the big things that I've noticed is these dentists tend to really thrive because they're getting to do these mini residencies that we do. They're getting to train, they're getting to learn together kind of on the fly. And it allows them an opportunity to get their feet wet in so many different areas of dentistry. That's one of the big appealing parts to us being all specialties under one roof. Right. We have the ability for some of these new GPs to come in and they're going to see some of the best pediatric dentists work. They're going to see.
Tell us, just break down, Matt and Yahya. I'm really impressed with these mini residencies. Us dentists, we need details. We need the probing depth of 15 distal, and we're working on 30. Why? We don't know. There's something wrong with us. But kind of break down the, like, I want the group to understand how
Yeah.
amazing these mini residencies are. These are on real patients or on mannequins?
These are on real patients. So what we did was down in South Texas, between South Padre Island, which is a really nice beach area, and McAllen, we have 15 offices, and it's really the heart and soul of the culture of the organization. What we did was we partnered. There's a group down there called Dentists Who Care, and it's a group of dentists that treat the underinsured. So these are patients that they can't get public health insurance. They don't qualify and they can't afford private insurance. So they're in this no man's land where they're going to end up in the ER, in pain. They're going to end up in this really bad spot. And we said, well, what if we treat them and we take care of them? We put into the community, like I said before, but also we have our amazing generalists and our specialists, which are great, teach the courses around the mini residency. So there'll be a didactic portion, and then under the guise of the specialist or the generalist or whoever's teaching it, we're treating those patients and delivering access to care for them. You get CE, you get to learn, and you get to help the community. So it's a win-win for everyone. It's been this beautiful program that's just really blossomed and has really been kind of the crown jewel of our clinical
Mhm.
excellence program.
I think I really commend you for doing that for so many people, especially patients, because you can't see, but across the way is where we have that half-court basketball court in our building. Just want to let people know that's not my house. People go, "You have it inside your house?" I say, "No, it's in our building, and I can go out and practice three-point shots as much as I want without any risk. I can work on my form. I can see what works and what doesn't. And the toughest part of dentistry, Matt, for someone, maybe one day you'll go to filling fantasy camp, but if not, you're gonna have to live your life without drilling on a tooth. And Yahya can
Yeah.
share the hardest part is you're always in the game. And then when you've created this out of the game practice thing with mentors and patients who know I taught a lot of implant courses where people were getting free implants and they knew they were being trained by people learning. And there's something magical about that experience that's totally transparent for people who need it. So I commend you for doing that because people
Thank you.
say, oh, just go out and practice and get better. But like these are real people, right? Like, they're real people. And sometimes it's not even about the care could turn out as well. But if we both all go to my favorite restaurant, Elvez, and I say, oh, Matt, you're going to get the same nachos, but your server is going to take 3 hours. And Yaya's and I is going to take 30 minutes. Who's signing up for the 3 hour nachos, right? We're just not.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's the hardest part. So doing that to help teach efficiency, camaraderie is great. Now, as
Yeah.
we're going to talk a little bit about what you do for associates on this special day coming up. Yeah, you said in yours. What happens? This is a big part of your culture, and I was blown away. I knew it was going to be great, but it was greater than I even expected. So tell them a little bit about what happens on this day, because I think for context, Yahya and Matt, like you have associates who clearly they don't see each other through the year. They're practicing in different geographical locations. So what's the mission behind this day or weekend that you put together for your associates?
Yes, what we really do for this day, the goal is to really rally and galvanize everyone around the mission again, but also to learn something great. Like we bring in great speakers. We're going to bring in, actually, I shouldn't say, but we're going to bring in somebody really, really great. It's kind of a surprise, but they're going to
Keep it a
talk
surprise. I
about,
like suspense. They like fun.
yeah,
Keep it a
they're going to
surprise.
talk about, they're going to talk about how you create patients that repeat and refer, and they have nothing to do with dentistry. So again, I'm trying to learn as much from outside of dentistry and bring it in as possible. But it's really also to create the culture where they get to meet each other. Like, oh my God, you're Dr. Petty. Like, I heard about you. You went on the mission trip to Guatemala, and and they get to learn and have fun and really get to talk to each other. Otherwise, you're just a bunch of different buildings. But no, we're a company, we're a tribe. So it's to build and bridge those connections as well. And we're gonna have a lot of our regional managers there as well, because that partnership again between operations and clinicians is really key to success and to excellence. So the goal of the goal is to galvanize people around the mission, but also to learn and come out better with this with stronger relationship with the rest of your team members.
I love that. I saw Matt at the last one a couple years ago. Matt and Yahya, I'll start with you. Now, it's normal for dentists to talk about wanting to own a practice, but as years go on, some never want to own, some aren't sure if they want to own. But I know you have some creative ownership opportunities. Tell us about that, because whether it's the rodeo DSO or other DSOs or DPOs, I'm a big proponent of having associate dentists be open-minded to ownership opportunities that don't look like 100 or zero. And I know
Yeah.
you've seen your path. So kind of how do you navigate those conversations with associates applying, Matt and Yahya, and tell us kind of what the opportunities are for someone who is interested in some type of ownership, but might not want to own a practice 100%.
Yeah, it's a really great question. I got asked this at Dicom as well, and I said, how many people have kids that say, I can't wait till I'm 18 and I get out of the house. I can do what I want. I can, stay out as late as I want. I can eat what I want. Well, guess what? You also have to pay the bills. You have to be,
Yeah.
there's great because so a lot of people idealize ownership in their mind, and they don't realize, hey, that's 24/7. Like,
Yeah.
I remember, I'm gonna be really vulnerable. I remember Dr. Z and I like couldn't eat for the weekend. We couldn't buy groceries early on because we had to make payroll. I mean, those are like real things that are gonna happen in your path there. But if you want that, go for it. Like, I'm not trying to discourage anyone from ownership. Like, if you want to be, Dr. Worth and put up your shingle and do it, like, God bless, empower you. Got this great community. You can do it. You can be successful. And some people just say, hey, I just want to clock in and out and treat my patients. Yeah, I'll do the good culture. I'll build a good culture in there. I'll treat people real well. But that's it. Like, I don't have to come 5 p.m. or 7 p.m. or whatever. I don't want to have to think about dentistry at all. Then that's cool. You can be an associate. You can do great as an associate, right? You can do really great. You could even see what our associates do here. They do really, really well. They make owner like money by following our systems. And if you want something in between where you're like, I don't really want to go deal with the contractor and have to deal with repairs and payers and check collections and do all that, but I also want a little bit more than that. There's this in between where you can be a shareholder, you can have some equity in it. And yeah, you'll be asked to do some things that go above and beyond what an associate does, but you won't be asked as much of what, 100% owner, because 100% owner means 100% of responsibility too. So you just have to look at both sides of the coin and see what you truly want, and then you can find the right fit for you, whether it's finding the right, buy-in or find the right DSO you're going to be with. Just find what makes you happy that's there for the long term.
I love that. And just that's just like keep your options open. It doesn't have to look like your grandparents' dental practice. It
Oh,
doesn't mean you have to be an owner at all. And I mean, Gary V, said on one of his interviews, they said, when do you stop worrying about your business? Like, when do you finally stop worrying about your business? When is it so stable you stop worrying about it? He says, easy, the same day you stop worrying about your children, never, right? And my amazing dad, even before he passed away in 2016, would still worry about me at the age of 38, and that's how I feel. And it doesn't mean not to do it. It just means to understand the pros and cons, the ups and downs, the risks and benefits. We should do a whole show on the informed consent of practice ownership from
yes.
practice owners. I want to keep you guys for just a couple more minutes. I kind of want to like give you this opportunity. I'll let you go first, Matt. Like if there was like 2 minutes that you wanted to share with Dentist Job Connect associates, what they should ask on interviews, how they should approach interviews, mistakes you see them make just in a value education based way. The floor is yours to kind of share that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think the biggest thing there's, as you guys know better than anybody, there are so many different practices and places to actually hone your craft as a dentist. But I think the biggest thing for me is When you're going around and you're asking these practices, what am I going to be doing on a day-to-day basis? I think you really have to factor in not only the interest of like your professional practice, but to Dr. Mansour's point, I think you really need to be looking at how you want to be treated on a day-to-day basis, what types of freedom you want to be able to have, and the types of autonomy you want to be able to have as an associate, because those, I guess, freedoms are not the same wherever you go. And so I would really look at what's a day in the life going to look like. Am I going to have somebody over my shoulder looking at me every step of the way? Or am I going to be able to go and seek a mentor doctor and be able to ask, hey, am I doing this prep correctly? Or whatever it is that you need to be doing. I think you really want to get as much have as much autonomy but support as humanly possible. And if that's the case, that's the biggest thing you need to ask in these interviews.
I think that's really valuable. I think it's frustrating to me that dental schools don't provide at least a little more understanding about how to navigate these huge career decisions after charging dentists $500,000. You know, Dr. Arash was here with one of our star associates, Dr.
Yeah.
Brandon, still may be on, who moved to Missouri, and he wanted to go back. Guess where? California. Because if there's one thing in life is that people from California love to go back to California. They will come to Philadelphia and eat our good food, Yahya, and go to our amazing schools, and they want to go back to California. But when he realized that California, an associate opportunity there, would not align with his procedure goals, his financial goals,
Yeah.
he made an adjustment and moved to a place where he had opportunities in a more rural location. And I think that's not talked about enough. Why are more rural locations provide more opportunities is because fewer dentists give newer dentists more opportunities to do procedures, right? I mean, I can just be real. If I go to my dental office on Wednesday and someone wants to get a root canal done, we can't have the newest associate take 2.5 hours. There's
Yeah.
endodontists down the street, and it's just not works. But if they're in an area where that's one of the only opportunities, then they're thrilled to have someone do that. So, Yaya, same to you and your closing thoughts here on your amazing C course and what you'd want to share with the Nachos and Job Connect world. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. You bring up two good points. So Matt, freedom isn't free, right? When people have freedom, there's always a cost to it. How are they going to treat you? If you want to live in the big city, people are like, oh, I want to be in LA or Miami. Great. You're going to get paid less. The cost of living is going to be more. You're going to live in a big city, so you can do all those sorts of fun activities. But if you go rural, guess what? You're going to make a lot more money. You're going to do a lot more. So what is your balance? Like what makes you happy? And maybe you do that for 5 years. So people really have to look at that from all angles and really see what is sustainable for them, what fits their lifestyle, what fits their clinical skill set and their clinical goals as well. So that part's um, really important as well. But really just finding what your true north and what makes you happy and what's a good fit for you, that you wake up every day, you say, hey, I'm lucky I like here. I like being here. I want to help a lot of people. I like my team. I like my patients. I'm happy. Happiness you can't really buy. And that part is the most important thing. It's not about 30% versus 28 versus 32. This daily minimums are. If you're
Yeah.
thinking about it like that, you're thinking about it all wrong. It's completely the wrong way, because you could get stuck in a situation that you're not happy if you're asked to do just hygiene. I'm just making it up, or you're not allowed to do X, Y, and Z. What does
And
that
that's why I encourage
mean?
associates get context, apply to many places. This is your career. You know, it's wild to me. These associate dentists will send out complicated Google spreadsheets for a bachelor party or Cancun trip, and I go, "How many jobs do you apply to?" They go, "One." I don't like it. I go, "Well, I mean, context is everything.
Yeah.
Optionality is everything." And Ross is still on here, who hired Brandon, and I just like to remind him in my closing thoughts. You want to find your championship job, just like the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, who were dominating the Super Bowl in such dramatic fashion, they put their backups in the Super Bowl. When was the last time? And I'm sorry to say in this on this Zoom that the Dallas Cowboys or the 49ers, Arash, have not won a Super Bowl since Facebook's been invented. Okay. It was the 1900s for the Cowboys. So that is what I would like to close with. Be a champion like these Philadelphia Eagles. Well, you guys were truly amazing. See, he was waiting for the 49ers joke. You guys are truly amazing. You're so generous. Really appreciate this. We'll get you guys the recording. Can't wait to see you guys in a couple weeks in South Padre Island. I'm so impressed that we had over 100 people watching in and half of them are still here. So you
Yeah.
delivered an awesome show and truly appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, you and your amazing team, and can't wait to see you guys soon.
Awesome. See you guys in a couple weeks. Thanks
Appreciate you
everybody for hanging
guys.
with
Yeah.
us on Zoom.
Thanks,
Means
everyone.
means a lot to me. All the support, everyone on Zoom here, to all my friends. Thanks, guys. Have
Thank
a
you,
great
everyone.
rest of the night.